It's the CalebDMTG
All right. Welcome back, folks. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for waiting for me. Hope you all are enjoying the first impression / set review. We're moving on into red. The timing's working out really nice. We're gonna get through red here, and then I'm gonna go to bed. Rest my my tired voice with all these words, all these texty cards, and then tomorrow we'll finish it up. We'll do green, colorless, artifacts, gold cards, lands, you know. Get all of that in tomorrow. Aki Emberkeeper. 1 in a red, 2/1, enchantment creature, goblin warrior. Whenever a non-token modified creature you control dies, create a 1/1 colorless spirit creature token. Interesting. So Goblin Piker doesn't need much to be worthwhile. I've certainly played like Young Pyromancer with very few instants and sorceries in my deck. You know, like you just trigger it once, get a 1/1 out of the deal. And it's kind of worth it. But modified creature is probably not going to be that hard. Like a creature wearing an equipment is considered modified. So every time a creature trades, every time a non-token creature trades and is wearing equipment, bam, got a 1/1. Got 1/1 counters, bam, 1/1s. This could play well in sacrifice decks too. Make sure you keep the sack fodder rolling. Neat art. I like these little fire lizards. All right, Aki Ronin. 1 in a red, 1/3 goblin samurai. Interesting mix of creature types there. Whenever a samurai or warrior you control attacks alone, you may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. A little bit of loot going on. It's a nice little role player. 2 mana for a 1/3 body is not terrible in limited, right? And then even if this card isn't attacking, it is buffing whatever samurai or warrior is attacking. In a real way, just like never have to flood out ever. All right, Aki Warpaint. 1 red, enchantment aura, enchant artifact or creature. As long as enchanted permanent is a creature, it gets +2/+1. Yeah, it's fine. It's gonna be like filler most of the time. It is an aura, so it buffs your stuff if you care about modified. Auras are usually aura buffs are usually not great. Usually not great in limited. Unholy strength, as the case may be. And the reason they're bad is because then like bounce spells or removal spells give your opponent card advantage. But sometimes your deck is aggressive enough that you just get to kill the opponent, and sometimes they don't have it and they just die. And sometimes in this set, there appear to be a few ways to get advantage from modified creatures that could take away some of the downside as well. Ambitious Assault, 2 in a red, instant. Creatures you control get +0 until end of turn. If you control a modified creature, draw a card. Man, already getting that card advantage back. Look at that. So a lot of times that you play a Trumpet Blast type effect, you kind of just want the opponent to die that turn. Usually you've got like a lot of Piddlers in play, and you kind of want it to be a lethal attack. Your opponent's gonna like outscale you. In the types of decks where Trumpet Blast is really good, your opponent's playing better creatures than you are. You want fast creatures, you want to go wide, you want to like kill them with a pump. That said, if you're not killing the opponent with the pump, Getting to draw a card is nice. If you have to play this just to like trade up, get a little bit of damage in, trade up, kill their thing, like while your thing dies. Makes it a lot more reasonable as just like a card that you don't mind playing, instead of something that has to be in like an all-in aggro, kill you when you cast it type Trumpet Blast deck. Cool. Ooh, we got to the Red Dragon. People in chat were talking this one up earlier. Really cool art. I love the change in the lighting. If this card was like only, like if this card art was like only in the light, then the effect of the flames, the flame vents along the side would be almost lost, right? Because it's just like more fire blending with the red scales and the fire and the sun and all that. But having it like dip into the darkness there, so you like really see it pop out, that's really fucking sweet. Yeah, kudos to Victor Adam Mongaze. And my apologies for butchering your name. I'm so bad with names. Anyway, it's Atsushi, the Blazing Sky, 2 red, legendary creature, Dragon Spirit, Flying Trample. When it dies, choose one, exile the top 2 cards of your library. Until the end of your next turn, you may play those cards. Yeah, so that's already worth a card. And then, or you can create 3 treasure tokens. Yeah, the other thing about this, like if it's dying, it's because it's probably traded. It's probably traded with an opponent's creature, or they used a removal spell on it. Which means that, like you're getting a 3-for-1 out of it, if you choose that top ability. I think this card's quite good. I think they've all given you the ability to get like 3-for-1 type value, with one of theirs. Yeah, I think the ceiling on the white one is higher. But it's pretty safe. Pretty safe to say that this one's going to see a lot of play. Maybe safer. Correct, Snow Schwartz. Yep. Yeah, I mentioned this pretty early on in the review, but these are legends that because they have death triggers, you don't really mind drawing multiples. You can just like fire them off and use them as a spell for the abilities. Bronzeplate Boar, 2 and a red, artifact creature equipment boar, trample. Equipped creature gets +3/+2 and has trample. Reconfigure 5. It's a 3/2 itself. Yeah, this card's decent. 3 for a 3/2 trample is like fine, right? But giving the ability to equip something, give it +3/+2 and trample is pretty great. Like you're not just giving something a big buff. Like turn your fucking 4/4 into a 7/6, right? Like that's pretty huge. Where you're giving it a big buff and then also an ability that plays well with that big buff. That trample ability. And then when it dies, you get your fucking pig back. I think you can draft this one pretty aggressively. If there's not a bomb or a really good removal spell, go ahead and draft it. Or even if like you have enough removal and you're in pack 3, you just want to like up the power level of your deck. Card's good. Crackling Emergence, 1 and a red, enchantment aura, enchant land you control. Enchanted land is a 3/3 red spirit creature token with haste, it's still land. And if it would be destroyed, instead sacrifice Emergence, and that land gets indestructible until end of turn. Cool. So this is sort of like a low risk way to get a modified creature, right? Because of the aura. Also gonna be an enchantment for enchantment matters stuff. Hasty body is decent. Burning LED says that only works once because they can kill it twice. Well, I mean, once you sack the Crackling Emergence, it's no longer a creature land. Yeah, I don't think this is going to be like a high pick or anything, but there's certainly going to be some decks that want it. And they might even want it in multiples. Dragonspark Reactor, 1 in a red artifact. Whenever reactor or another artifact enters the battlefield under your control, put a charge counter on it. 4, sacrifice it, deals damage equal to the number of charge counters on it to target player, and that much damage to up to 1 target creature. Is this card insane? So you're Searing Blazing for the number of charge counters on it? It is expensive, right? You play 2 mana and then 4 mana to sack it. But it's always going to be Searing Blazing for at least 1. It seems like there's a decent number of artifacts in the set, right? And like playable ones. Ones that you want to play anyway. Other creatures that just poop out blood tokens like crazy. Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about this for limited. I mean, I think it's like an excellent limited card. In terms of constructed, with blood and treasure and stuff. Yeah, it could be good. It is clunky, but like, for a powerful enough effect, that's fine. Your opponent's taking like 7 or something. There's like sorceries that churn through your deck while also spitting out treasures. Might be like a must answer permanent. I'm hesitant to call it too slow for constructed, because it sort of has that shrine thing going on. Obviously, shrine like gets to uptick by itself, but hitting 2 things instead of just 1 thing is also pretty gas. You want to play this with Tez so that the sacrifice is cheaper? Sure. Yeah, Tez is great. You think it should be sorcery only? I think it would be a lot less interesting for constructed if it was sorcery only. Whereas I don't think it's like that much better in limited, being instant speed. And I think it goes from like being not quite good enough to being good enough without the sorcery restriction in constructed. A combo kill? Yeah, I could see that. I think just being like part of the engine decks, they're like churning through all those artifacts anyway. That's like pretty reasonable. All right. Experimental Synthesizer, 1 red artifact. When it enters or leaves the battlefield, exile the top card of your library. Until end of turn, you may play that card. And then for 3 mana, you can sacrifice it, create a 2/2 white samurai creature token with vigilance. Activate only as a sorcery. I don't think this card's good. If you have a lot of mana, I guess it works. Nothing to do. You can like play it, draw a card, and then 3 mana, make a 2/2 that also draws a card. You kind of do need that lot of mana though, huh? Second to Deadly Dispute. Yeah. I suppose. I guess I don't hate that. Deadly Dispute, like refunding. Costing less than the 3 mana to sack it. And then also refunding you with the treasure. Yeah, I buy it. I buy it. Card might be good enough. Explosive Entry, 1 into red sorcery. Destroy up to 1 target artifact, put a 1/1 counter on up to 1 target creature. It's Icarwell's Spellspring? Or no, it's not. This ability is a lot worse than drawing a card. Just like the 2 mana, like flip over the top 2 cards of your library card isn't actually like 2 mana divination, right? Even if that card is pretty good. Not quite the same thing. I might be underrating it though. 2 cards on a flicker. What's flickering it? Explosive Entry, 1 into red sorcery. Destroy up to 1 target artifact. Put a 1/1 counter on up to 1 target creature. So you get to like blow something up and modify something. I don't know if there's going to be enough artifacts to main deck this. But it's one to consider. Just keep track of like how many times you want to blow up an artifact creature. Obviously, it's a totally fine sideboard card. I don't think the sorcery part matters. In limited, it's a matter of like how often are you gonna have a hit for this? Because obviously, blow something up, put a 1/1 counter on something is great. It doesn't like really matter what you're blowing up. That's not true. It does matter what you're blowing up. There's some pretty piddly artifacts in this set. Anyway, Explosive Singularity, 8 red sorcery. As an additional cost to cast this spell, you may tap any number of untapped creatures you control. The spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature tapped this way, and then deals 10 damage to any target. So we've got a red Invoke card here. 10 mana. It's definitely a sweet card. I don't think it's good. $10 is a lot of face damage, yeah. You're spending a lot of mana though. Is it limited playable? Yeah. Well, Maybe. Yeah. No, it is. Just the fact that you get to like hit someone for 10 at a certain point in the game is worth a lot. Even if it takes you a while to get there. Yeah, I think it's a good limited card. Just Mizzix's Mastery for the Dome. How often is Mizzix's Mastery? Usually you want to play that card and like get some value, right? I don't know if you could play that in like an aggressive deck. Other deal 10s? How many other deal 10s are there, Lord of Depression? In Historic? I can't think of any off the top of my head, but I'm also very tired. Which is maybe a sign that I should move on. Fable of the Mirror Breaker, 2 and a red, Saga. 1, create a 2/2 red Goblin Shaman creature token with whenever this creature attacks, create a treasure token. Oh, that's not bad. 2, you may discard up to 2 cards if you do draw that many cards. Sure. And then 3, it flips. Exiles and flips. Into a Reflection of Kiki. It's a 2/2 Goblin Shaman. 1 in tap. Create a token that's a copy of another target non-legendary creature you control except it has haste. Second at the beginning of the next end step. So it's not going to go infinite super easily like Kiki did, due to adding the 1 onto the casting cost. Still a sweet card though, and a much cheaper upfront cost. This card's good, right? I don't think it's good enough for Eternal formats. Your Goblin decks aren't going to like that they can't Violet in or Matron for it or all that business. Seems like clearly a good card to me, though. It's got like enough stuff going on. Someone wins some matches with it. Reminds you of History of Benalia. Yeah, it's less aggressive than History of Benalia, but it does feel like it's giving you like similar levels of value, right? You get a 2/2, then you get to like draw some cards, or loot rather, and then like a pretty high value Goblin Body. Flame Discharge, X red instant, deals X damage to target creature or planeswalker. If you control the modified creatures, you cast a spell, it deals X plus 2 damage instead. Yeah, this is good. Obviously, it's a lot better in decks that can have the bonus 2 damage. It's a lot more mana efficient. But it seems like that's what Red's doing anyway. You can draft this card pretty aggressively, I think. Gift of Wrath, 3 and red, enchantment Dora, enchant artifact or creature. As long as enchanted permanent is a creature, it gets +2/+2 and has menace. When it leaves the battlefield, create a 2/2 red spirit creature token with menace. Really sweet looking art, Tom. That's really fucking sick. I think this card's okay. Give your samurai or ninja +2/+2 in menace. When they opponent manages to answer it. You at least like get a little bit of value body. Not a super early or anything like that. But I think it's a fine way to get a enchantment down. To get an aura down. To modify a creature, which is what Red's trying to do. Hey, we got another shrine. Go Shintai of Ancient Wars, 2 in a red, legendary enchantment creature shrine, first strike at the beginning of your end step. You may pay 1 when you do, deals X damage to target player or planeswalker. Versus the number of shrines you control. Yeah, this card's solid. Like 3 mana for a 2/2 first strike is like already a solid body. That's within the shrine ability is just kind of like a bonus on top of that. A little bit of reach. Buff up your other shrines. Why not? Goro Goro, Disciple of Ryusei. 1 in a red, legendary creature Goblin Samurai. 1 creatures you control gain haste until end of turn. For a single red there. And then 3 red is you get a 5/5 red Dragon Spirit creature token with flying. Activate only if you control an attacking modified creature. Huh. Yeah, 2 mana for a 2/2 legend. With the creatures you control gain haste ability is not that exciting. Obviously this is like a limited bomb, right? Anything that can spit out 5/5 flyers, even situationally, is limited bomb. Yeah, I think it's a little too situational for constructed. If you're doing Goblin Tribal, you're probably like not modifying things. Heiko Yamazaki, the General, 3 in a red, legendary creature, human samurai, trample. Whenever a samurai or warrior you control attacks alone, you may cast target artifact card from your graveyard this turn. You need a 3/3. Yeah, I mean, 4 mana for a 3/3 trample isn't exciting, but it's not embarrassing either. Didn't we see something really similar to this in white? Was it that you could play an enchantment from your graveyard? I think white has a 3 mana 3/2 that does something real similar. Another legendary creature, human samurai. Bad Emery. Yeah, I mean, Bad Emery could be pretty good. Limited. Anyway. Yeah, you don't need to be able to trigger this too often before this becomes like a pretty good card. Value's value, right? Invoke Calamity, 1 red, instant. You may cast up to 2 instant and/or sorcery spells with total mana value 6 or less from your graveyard and/or hand without paying their mana costs. If these spells would be put into your graveyard, exile them instead. Exile Invoke Calamity. Huh. I'm trying to think of how this card could not suck, and I'm having a rough time. Similar to the red finale. I mean, the red finale you can play for 4 mana, right? And then and like you're playing the red finale in Phoenix, So costing 2 red instead of quad red. Like Red Finale saw like a little bit of play in mono red, but very little, right? Like super small amount. Cast 2 Crashing Footfalls. Yeah, 5 mana though, right? My first thought went to cards like Crashing Footfalls and Ancestral Visions and that stuff. But the fact that it's limited to 2 of them kind of makes that like way less exciting at 5 mana. Intuition and chain cast them. So you'd play 1 for 5, and then it would flash back another one. And your first one could also flash back like an Ancestral Visions or something. Or Brainstorm. That's cute. Is it good? No. Is it cute? Yes. Yeah, I don't think it's good, but that's just me. Ironhoof Boar. 5 in a red, artifact creature boar, trample haste, channel 1 in a red, discard it. Target creature gets +3/+1 and gains trample until end of turn. Yeah, this card's fucking sweet, right? Sweet little limited card. 6 mana for a 5/4 trample haste would be like not exciting, but have its place every once in a while. The fact that you can just like use it as a combat trick is pretty great. What did I say about the 10 damage spell? I said that it was good and limited, I guess. And I didn't really see it as a constructed card. Tanked down a little. Reminds you of Gorklan Rampager, the Ironhoof Boar. Yeah, a little bit. A little bit. Clearly not as good as Gorklan Rampager when you're channeling or casting. It's like a limited only version of that card, huh? A Gorklan Rampager that was like costed specifically for limited. Kami of Industry, 5 mana for a 3/6 Spirit. When it is battlefield, return target artifact card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield against haste. So you gotta be in the next end step. I love this art. I want this to be like a named character. I like this card a lot if you had like another way of, if it wasn't just like a one-time thing. The fact that you have to sacrifice it so you're not getting like permanent value. It does have sweet flavor text. Yeah, overall this card does not excite me. This isn't exactly like some super genius analysis, but whether you want it is going to depend on if you want a 5 mana 3/6, which should be pretty rare, or like how good the thing that you're getting back is. Because it's got to do something, right? If you're sacking it at the beginning of the next end step. the damage that it gets in has to be relevant, or it has to give you some value. It's like an oddly controlling card for an ability that like wants you to be kind of aggressive. Controlling stats, right? 5 mana, 3/6. It's hard for me to imagine like where exactly it fits. Classic 23rd card, yeah, or 24th, right? You know, you're not upset if it's your 24th. Kami's Flare, 1 in a red instant, deals 3 damage to target creature or planeswalker. Also deals 2 damage to that permanent's controller. If you control a modified creature. Yeah, this one's sick, huh? You can first pick it all day long. In this here limited format here. Kindled Fury, red instant. Target creature gets +1/+0 against first strike until end of turn. Again, like I'm not super keen on combat tricks. In this limited format, it feels like red is trying to like modify its creatures to win combat too. So you can only play like so many like auras to pump and modify your cards or equipment and combat tricks on top of it. Makes me think that this card's like a little bit worse than usual, and it's usually not very good. Just because pump in general is usually like not great in comparison to like an actual removal spell or something. Alright, Kumano faces Kakazan. 1 red. Saga, 1. Deals 1 damage to each opponent and each planeswalker they control. 2, when you cast your next creature spell this turn, a creature enters the battlefield with an additional 1/1 counter on it. And then 3 is a 2/2 haste, and if a creature dealt damage this turn by a source you controlled would die, exile it instead.
I'm searching for some sunshine. Just need one ray through the dark skies. I gotta look for the bright side.
Why does it say this turn on the back? It says this turn on the back because otherwise you could like play a lightning bolt on a 3/4 and it could die like 2 turns later, and people might exile their 3/4, you know. The place where it says this turn is kind of weird. Like where it shows up in the middle of the sentence, like makes people question it. Like what is it doing? If it said this turn at the end of die, if a creature dealt damage by a source you control would die this turn, exile it instead, I think people like scratch their head less. This is like a more natural place for it. But functionally it's the same.
Just make it through another day. As these dark clouds will go away.
Is it static or only when it flips? It's static. You think it might seek and start to play? That's kind of what I've been tanking on here. I think you have to be like pretty sure that you're curving out with it. Pretty sure that you have a creature to play on the next turn. But if you are, it's probably good, huh? Obviously, you can't just like stack a bunch of Saga threats because it needs to be a creature spell. So you might play this in a deck as like your only Saga. It's not picking dorks. This deals the damage to each opponent and each planeswalker they control. So the first turn you play this, it's just dealing the opponent to damage, which is good. It's good to do that in a red aggro deck. Anyway. It's weird how the black one excites me more. Haste is a good ability, though. They're probably close, right? Lizard Blades. One in a red. Artifact creature, equipment lizard. Double strike. Equipped creature has double strike. Reconfigure 2. This card's sweet, right? Obviously decent limited. Like 2 mana for a 1/1 double strike and limited is fine, but this is better than that. Like being able to put it on a 4 power creature or a flyer, a trampler, what have you. A death toucher. The reconfigure cost is like very reasonable too. I think this is costed to be interesting for constructed play. Little too niche, little like double strike isn't like a good enough ability to be like a modern card. Like some other of the rare equipment that we've seen were interesting for like Stoneforge Mystic decks. This isn't that. But maybe it's good enough for standard. Who knows? March of Reckless Joy. X and a red, instant. As an additional cost to cast this spell, you may exile any number of red cards from your hand. The spell costs 2 less to cast for each card exiled this way. Exile the top X cards to your library. You may play up to 2 of those cards until the end of the next turn. Now the fact that the cards have to be red that you're pitching, so you can't like even slough off lands or anything if you're flooding out. This card doesn't really gain anything from being an instant either, right? Like unless you hold up mana on your opponent's turn and then you can play it on your opponent's end of turn. But the fact that you can play the cards until the end of your next turn means that if it was a sorcery and you played it and exiled cards, you'd have like the same time frame to cast them as playing them on your opponent's turn. It's not really a draw to the White Seal. I think it is terrible as a red exile a fucking red card from your hand. And then flip 2 cards over and hope that you can play them. Hope they're relevant. You think this is good in Modern Belcher? I don't think it is. I don't think it's playable. If it was blue, I would like it in Food Chain. Yeah, I don't think so. Even if you could pitch a Mist Hollow Griffin, I think it's still a bad card. This one's limited playable. This one is limited playable. Aren't they all limited playable? Except for like the blue one. The blue one's probably still kind of bad and limited. Like the white one and the black one are both removal spells, which is, I mean, that's never going to be bad and limited. Wait until I see a green one. Oh, I'm excited. I'm excited. Right, you don't have to 2-for-1 yourself, but but spending 4 mana to anyway. I think I've said enough. Not great. It actually like kind of gets close to being a bomb in limited. This is like kind of a slower format. You can start to like make XP a reasonable number. Yeah, am I underrating this card? Like, think about it, like, not, like, just, like, ignore the exile card, part of the card completely. And think about it in, like, some ramp deck. Where you're just, like, flipping over a shitload of cards. What was that 3 in a red and a green sorcery? That one flipped over, like, 5 cards, right? And also, like, let you play an extra land. Yeah, Escape to the Wilds. You only get to play 2 of them? Oh, yeah. Yeah, never mind. No, this card sucks. Forgot a part of the card. Went back, thought it might be playable. Chat reminds me. Oh, right. Yes. Okay. Not just kidding. Fuck it. Ogre Head Helm. 1 in a red. Artifact creature. Equipment Ogre. Equipped creature gives +2/+2. Whenever Ogre Head Helm or equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, you may sacrifice it. If you do, discard your hand, then draw 3 cards. That's a sick ability. That's got Reconfigure 3. And it's 2 mana for a 2/2. I think this card's fucking great. Oh, you have to sacrifice it. I think my brain was fading off that part. Yeah, this might just be like a great limited card, but then like not quite good enough for standard. You sack the creature, not the hat. I don't know if it matters. He eats the host into the volcano. That's nice, nice flavor. Good in hat tribal. This will fit my hat vintage deck. Isn't that much better? Just like the creature. I don't think so. It's not giving the thing evasion, so like to make sure that you're connecting with it. Like, to have something that you want to sacrifice, to have a creature that you want to sacrifice, it's going to be like a Piddler, right? Or something with a death trigger. But you want to connect to get the value, so you can sacrifice it. But that's not going to go on a Piddler. That's going to go on a creature that the opponent doesn't want to block. Like a larger creature or a flyer. And that's something you're not going to want to have to sacrifice, right? So I don't think it makes it better that you're sacrificing the creature. I think this would be a good constructed card if you didn't have to sacrifice anything. But the fact that you're losing the creature that you've spent the mana to equip to, so now you have to like pay to re-equip if you ever want to use it again, and then you also have to discard your hand, which may or may not be anything before you get to draw. I think it's a little too situational. You do have a 2-mana 2/2 base, so maybe it's better than I'm giving it credit for. Just some aggro deck that you're just fucking happy to play a 2-mana 2/2, and every once in a while you get to do the thing. Works with Luris. Yeah, I don't think this card's good enough in Luris formats. Oh yeah, Bowmat Courier, I think is way better than this card. Much less clunky, right? I don't think there's much of a comparison there. Anywho, Fearless Samurai, 2 and a red, creature, human samurai, menace. Whenever a samurai or warrior you control attacks alone, the next spell you cast this turn costs 1 less to cast. Oh, this card's sweet. There's some like medium clunky expensive samurais and warriors. And this one's got evasion itself. So even if you're just like playing a slower limited game and you just like play this on turn 3, then turn 4 you like play your land and attack, your opponent probably can't eat it in combat because it's got menace. And then you get to play a 5-drop. Fucking sick. I don't think it's like a bomb or anything, but this seems like a card that I'm happy to play. Yeah, it does work in multiples. Rabbit Battery. 1 red. Artifact creature, equipment rabbit, haste. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 as haste, and then reconfigure for just 1. This card's fucking sick, right? You got yourself a Raging Goblin, which is not exciting in and of itself, but you're adding a whole lot onto it. You basically have 2 cards that are like vaguely constructed interesting, but you're stapling them together, and I think the end result is they have like a pretty great card. The issue with Raging Goblin being, you know, sometimes the game lasts more than 4 turns, and then you have a fucking Raging Goblin in play that doesn't do anything. And the issue with a haste generating equipment that like costs 1 to play and 1 to equip for +1/+1 in haste is that you don't really want to spend that playing it out in the early game, so you can like efficiently give your larger things haste when you need to. Rabbit Battery kind of like solves the problem of both cards. Yeah. So probably the best constructed red card I've seen so far, I think. Blazing Sky is sweet too. But there's been other like 4-mana 4/4 flying tramplers. There's only been one Angry Rabbit Battery. Alright, Reinforced Ronin. Red, artifact creature, human samurai, 2/2 haste. Wait, is this a goblin guide? We got a goblin guide? Let's stop reading there, folks. Bam! Another great one. Next card. Alright, I should probably read the rest. Haste at the beginning of your end step, return reinforced Ronin to its owner's hand. Oh no! That's no goblin guide at all. And then channel is 1 in the red, discard it, draw a card. This card's kind of sweet. Can cycle it for 2. The mech arm with the sword does look rad, for sure. You like it as a ninjutsu enabler? I mean, red's not really a ninjutsu color. Obviously, that color pairing is going to happen sometimes. So pairing with the other red cards, I guess Samurai matters. You can run this out and have it attack alone. And then if your opponent like has to trade with it, it's not the end of the world because your investment was so low. And you get to save your like your better samurai. They get to chill back at home. Yeah, I think this card's totally solid. I don't think it's a constructed card. Sometimes, like, you see stats that trigger the constructed side of your brain, even though you don't think it's gonna be there. It still has me thinking about, you know, getting delirium in older formats, getting efficient chips of damage in. The number of times I've dashed a Ragavan has maybe warped my brain recently. How bad is the card with cycling ever? I mean, there's been a lot of atrocious cycling. It can't block, that's true. Never block it with this thing. Builds counters on the Dragon Bomb. Interesting. I like where your head's at, Kableed. I like where your head's at. Yeah, but 1 mana to dash instead of 2. Come now, clans. And this does have ult casting modes. You can just like bin it for 2 mana and draw a card. That's definitely an ult cast. It's a different card, but you know, it's an option. That's a good point, Aegis. If you're blocking with your Goblin Guide, you might as well just fucking set your deck on fire. You're doing it wrong. Cool. Alright, scrap welder. We got ourselves a welder. 2 in a red, creature Goblin Artificer. Tap, sacrifice an artifact with mana value X. Return target artifact card with mana value less than X from your graveyard to the battlefield. It gains haste until end of turn. It's a 3/3. Well, aren't you a fucking disappointment? Now let me reread this. Let me give it a true shot. 3 mana for a 3/3. Already bad Goblin Welder stats. Just saying. Tap second artifact with mana value X. Return target artifact card with mana value less than X. From your graveyard to the battlefield, it gains haste until end of turn. It's not even less than or equal to. It's less than X. What are you doing with this shit? I'm gonna scroll. I'm gonna get tilted. Man, I love Goblin Welders. Alright, Scrapyard Steelbreaker, 3 in a red. Artifact creature, Human Warrior. 1 colorless. Second another artifact. Steelbreaker gets +2/+1 until end of turn. It's a 3/4. Sure. Card doesn't seem like broken or anything, but there's certainly cards that you want to bin anyway. Artifacts that you want to bin anyway. And you can do the second instant speed too. So you attack with your 4 mana 3/4, and they have to block with the ability in mind. You think the arm looks like back problems? Yeah, I mean, she could have like an augmented spine as well, right? Like you have a titanium spine, it probably doesn't matter. They have this like giant fucking titanium arm. Seismic Wave, 2 and a red instant, deals 2 damage to any target and 1 damage to each non-artifact creature target opponent controls. Yeah, so every once in a while, really terrible red sweepers end up being constructed sideboard cards. I don't think this one will be, but who knows. In Limited, this is actually a pretty great card. Usually when you're spending... Remember that this is like, if you deal 3 damage, or if you deal the 2 damage to a non-artifact creature that an opponent controls, that means that that creature is taking 3. So just like 3 mana instant, deal 3 damage to a creature. Great card. First pickable card. The 1 damage to each other non-artifact creature they control, that's just gravy. If that ever does something. Maybe it helps finish off a creature that already took combat damage. Maybe they've got an X1. That's all just bonus. And even if your opponent's creatures are all artifact creatures, you can still just deal 2 damage to one for 3 mana, which is not great. Like, that's not a first pickable card, but it's also not a dead card either. So the fail rate's pretty high too. Also face. Yeah. I mean 3 mana to deal 2 damage to a face is also not exciting, but again, it is nice to have the option. Alright. The Shattered States era, 4 and a red. Saga, 1, gain control of target creature until end of turn. Untap it, it gains haste until end of turn. Sure. 5 mana is a lot for a threaten. I've played some Zealous Conscripts before though. Let's see what else is going on. 2 is creatures you control get +1/+0 until end of turn. Well, that is not that exciting, I don't think. What critter do we get? 3/3 with trample and haste. Yeah, if you can't sack the creature that you're threatening, then I think this card's pretty atrocious. And so, and a lot of the sack outlets in this format cost mana too. So the fact that it's a 5 mana threaten has like a really big chance of making this like too unwieldy, I think. Not my favorite Saga creature. The art's nice. The art is nice. It's no Aquarian War. Yeah, but I mean, it's a common, right? So I'm... even thinking about it in context of like other common threatens. And the fact that you're spending 5 mana on this Saga means that you're not getting the creature until like very late. Like even if you play this on turn 5, it's like a really awkward style of card to get a creature on the end of too, to get a value creature on the end. Because a lot of times you want to play your threaten effect to like try and win the game that turn. You want to take like their best blocker and just fucking get your alpha strike in. Whereas this thing, it just like never has a chance to even matter. Simian Sling, red artifact creature equipment monkey. Love it. Equipped creature gets +1/+1. Whenever a sling or equipped creature becomes blocked, it deals 1 damage to the defending player. Reconfigure 2. Yeah, I mean, hell yeah, right? So, like, These piddly little equipments that give like a random +1/+1 tend to be better than they look. Having that value that sticks around that you can like move around onto other creatures tends to be better than it looks. And this is a format where red has some creatures that like really want to be modified, right? Some turn on the modification things. This is a pretty efficient way to do that. And then you also just like have a 1-mana 1/1. It's like obviously worse than the than that fucking bunny. But I was talking about this bunny being good enough for like constructed play, right? Actually, yeah, isn't this card better than that 1-mana lizard that saw a decent amount of constructed play in red aggro? I guess the lizard was like really good with El Toblerone. This card has some synergies too. Oh, the lizard was also just on attack, right? It didn't have to be blocked. Yeah, there's an environment for it. Yeah, obviously the lizard was on swing instead it becomes blocked. But I mean, it's not like reconfigures to nothing too. So at least some value there. All right, Sokenzan Smelter, 1 in a red for creature Goblin Artificer. Beginning of combat on your turn, you may pay 1 in second artifact. If you do, you get a 3/1 red construct artifact creature token with haste. It's a 2/2. Yeah, not a constructed card. A little too situational. A little too specific. Is it a good limited card? Yeah, I mean, I guess you have to want to sack some artifacts, huh? Maybe I did underestimate that, that red quote-unquote bauble earlier. When I evaluated this card, I hadn't like read through all of red. And there's like several cards in the format. Several other red commons. They really want artifact cards to sacrifice for value. And even though this isn't like the same thing as drawing a card, the fact that there's like enablers that just like want to have things to sacrifice, want to have like shitty red artifacts to sacrifice on the easy. Being able to convert it into 3 damage while also like getting your value is kind of nice. 1 mana draw 2. Well, you're not drawing. it's not the same. Blood tokens into 3/1s. You're talking about for standard? Even then, it's situational though, right? It has to be at the beginning of combat on your turn. You're only doing it once. I think for constructed, there's too many things that have to go right before this card is good. If the ability is good, and your opponent has a fucking shock, you know, they get to choose that it dies before you get to activate it. Whereas if you just play a spell that's like sack an artifact, draw 2 cards, your opponent doesn't get to interact with it with removal, right? And then if you could activate it multiple times in a turn, then it would probably be a rare, and then it would probably start to look interesting. hit them with a couple 3/1s, and they're in red burn range. Yeah, but like, how early do you think that's happening? Turn 3, you could maybe do it once, and then you're not gonna have an artifact for turn 4. I guess you could keep making blood, like every turn make 1 blood, sack 1 blood. Creatures that also make blood tokens. I'm trying to mull it around in my brain, because some of y'all seem into it. Imagine as a 3-drop. Yeah, I mean, I can imagine at any stage of the curve, and I'm not excited by it. I have a pretty good imagination. Sometimes you do just need to see things in play, though. I'm gonna stick with my initial assessment for now, until I have a reason to change it. Until I get rocked by it a few times, right? Yeah, I think the fail of just, like, your opponent being able to interact with it if it's actually going to be good, and then it being, like, pretty bad if it's not good. Anyway. Tempered in Solitude. 1 and a red enchantment. Whenever a creature you control attacks alone, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. I think it's really easy to underestimate this type of card. Like, all of, like, the whole samurai thing is, like, attacking with creatures alone anyway. Which is this is supposed to go along with. You can attack with shitters and cycle them. Sometimes you're gonna attack and, like, exile a card and not be able to play it, and that's gonna not matter that much, right? Because you don't lose the enchantment. It sticks around. You get to do it later. You don't need to play too many cards off of this before it becomes pretty swingy. Would we play multiples? Would we play multiples of this? Yeah, I think I would. I think I would draft this card really aggressively. This is said without, like, trying it, of course. Is it a constructed card? No. Attacking alone is just, like, way too big of a thing. Way too big of a downside, having to attack alone and constructed. Sweet limited card, though. Thundering Raiju. 2 red creature spirit. Haste. Whenever Thundering Raiju attacks, put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control. Then it deals X damage to each opponent. Or X is the number of modified creatures you control other than Thundering Raiju. It's a 3/3. Fucking interesting, huh? So if you have a curve of turn 2, kill your opponent's creature, turn 3, 3-drop, turn 4, Hellrider attack. That's like a pretty good curve, just like thinking of Hellrider. And Thundering Raiju does something similar. That's like not a magical Christmas land scenario. That's literally just going like turn 2 something, turn 3 threat, turn 4 thundering raiju attack, resolve its triggered ability. Yeah, that's true. It does just like target itself too. You don't even need another creature. Yeah, I think this thing does a pretty fair Hellrider impression. The ceiling is lower. Because the ceiling is like you've got a board full of stuff and you top deck Hellrider and then it just like murders the opponent with pings. And it's a lot harder for this card to have a board of modified creatures than it is for Hellrider to just like have a board of creatures. But I think the average might be pretty close. And as a solitary creature, it's a lot better because it does grow itself. That permanent pump is better than a single ping. The hardest thing is how to modify and construct it. It already modifies, though. I'm kind of reminded of, fucking, what's that, what's that cube card? Where it's like a 3-mana 2/2, and then you attack, you exile the top card of your library, and you can play it. Lelia, I think that's it. A lot of times you're like not actually playing cards with Lelia. It just being like a 3-drop that grows every turn is like good enough. And this does that, right? Just like attack, grow it every turn. It's gonna just like bury people pretty quickly. Four haste is good. 4/4 haste is fine. This is better than 4/4 haste though, because you're getting those pings in, and you can spread the 1/1 counter around. Like it might be helping other creatures attack in, or it might be leaving value behind. If the opponent kills it, it might be leaving value behind because you grew some of your other creatures. Oh yeah, obviously it's an absurd limited card. I think it's a great constructed card though. Historic? Yeah, I was thinking just standard. I don't know how playable 4-drops are in Historic. I haven't played Historic in a minute. You think it's better than the Goblin with Mentor that made goblins? I think it's pretty close. I think it's pretty close to that one, but that would solve like a lot of play. Obviously, comparing a 4-drop with a 3-drop, right? This song is by Infected Mushroom, Bloody John. Yeah, good ear. Alright, Tawashi Song Shaper. 1 in a red, artifact creature, human artificer. Whenever another artifact enters the battlefield under your control, it gets +1/+0 until end of turn. It being the Song Shaper. So it's 2 mana for a 2/2. It can grow pretty quickly. Get a little bursty. Yeah, I guess not that exciting, huh? Just a little too easy to trade off with. But if you're doing artifact stuff, it's like certainly not a bad card, Just trying to curve out, just trying to curve the fuck out and be aggressive. Twin Shot Sniper, 3 in a red, artifact creature, Goblin Archer. It's got reach. When it enters the battlefield, it deals 2 damage to any target. And then channel for 2 mana, it shocks something. Yeah, this card's good. I mean, most Flame Tongue Kabu variants are good. This one's got like enough versatility and stuff going on. Pretty obviously first pickable and limited. And then cool thing about this card in Eternal formats is that it's another like Tarfire like card, right? For Matron or Ringleader grab. that'll let you answer, like Plague Engineer, for example. It does cost 2. It does cost 2 to shock something, whereas Tarfire only costs 1. But the upside is that it works with Vial, and that you get a body if you ever want to spend 4 mana on it. So maybe it's a little bit more main deckable than Tarfire is because of those upsides. You wonder if putting itself in the yard as an artifact's a big deal? I don't think so, just because like 2 mana is a lot. Like I got really excited about that blue like bauble cantrip that was like for 1 mana. You can channel it to draw a card. Because 1 mana is exactly what you want to spend to like draw a card and turn on Delirium. But 2 mana for a shock is pretty specific. We're before multicolor, yeah. So I'm gonna review these last 3 cards here, and then that's gonna end the stream. And then tomorrow we're gonna I do the regular like white, blue, black, red, green order. So tomorrow we're gonna start with green, and we're gonna do all the lands, artifacts, gold cards. Unstoppable Ogre, 2 to red, artifact creature, Ogre Warrior. When it enters the battlefield, target creature can't block this turn. I think it was Levy that was talking about how incredibly stoppable this ogre is. Like a 1/1 stops it like really well. Crew's decent. Uprising Renegade, 1 in a red for a 1/3 creature human samurai. Yoncrack Crasher, this is not. Seems like a very low limited pick. You'd like want a very specific tech to be able to like force it through and stuff. Probably not great. Alright, Uprising Renegade, 1 in a red. What a smooth looking motherfucker. Look at that hairdo. Human Samurai. Gets +2/+0 for each other modified creature you control. That's a 1/3. This card gets pretty zesty pretty quick. It does say other, so it's not going to pump itself. But like, 2 mana for a 3/3 is already pretty good. And then if you get another modified creature, it's a fucking 5/3. Yeah, I think if you're doing the modified thing, equipment and auras and counters and whatnot, I think you can pick this one pretty high. Just D stats. It's just a creature, but it's a good one. You want to play this with the raiju? Yeah, I don't know. Because if you're playing this and the raiju, if the renegade's gonna get pumped, then the raiju has to pump itself. I don't think they're that exciting together. But you might play them both in the same deck, just because they both want you to have like some modified creatures. Again, I don't think the raiju needs much though, because it modifies creatures by itself. It already like fixes that. Do I have any recommendations on similar sounding artists to Infected Mushroom? Yeah, I like another Psytrance act that I like a lot is 10,000 Micrograms. They put out some sweet albums. And then some people like Spongle a lot. Spongle's a little bit more chill. A little bit more relaxed. I like that high energy throbbing that you get from some Psytrance artists. Anyway, Voltage Surge. Last red card, 1 red instant. As an additional cost to cast this spell, you may sack an artifact. Deals 2 damage to target creature or planeswalker. If this spell's additional cost was paid, deals 4 damage instead. Okay, so it's just it's a shock that only hits creatures and planeswalkers. It doesn't go face. And then you sack an artifact, it deals 4 damage. So this is just a good removal spell. Just good limited removal spell. Not constructed playable, I don't think. You can take it pretty early. You don't need like a ton of artifacts in your deck. The flexibility is just nice. There we are, folks. Another card that makes the egg better? Sort of. This doesn't need to sack something to be good. It's not like you draft this card and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I need some fucking things to sack for value. This is like nice to have the option. Yeah, good night, everybody. See y'all tomorrow. We'll be starting with green, of course, and move our way through. Very wordy set. I'm glad I planned on doing it in 2 goes. I've learned from other recent sets. Yeah. Much love. Thanks for listening. Hope y'all are enjoying the review. I'll see you on the morrow.